Hello class, this is the video for section 2.1, Reasoning and Logic, an introduction. The learning objectives are the following: quantifiers and their effects on statements, different forms of statements, how to determine whether two statements are logically equivalent. We will not cover this. If you want to interested, look at page 44, okay? And then how to develop logical arguments and how to determine whether an argument is what is valid. Now, the Common Core State Standards states that elementary students should be able to construct arguments using concrete reference such as objects, drawings, diagrams, and actions. And in fact, later on in the grade level, they should be able to listen to or read some arguments of other people and decide whether they make sense and ask useful questions to clarify or improve the argument. Now, before we go further, we want to understand certain terminologies. The first is a statement. So what's a statement? A sentence that is either true or false, but not both. So take note of that, but not both. And then we usually symbolically use lowercase letters like P, Q, R, S, and T to represent statements. We also have quantifier. Okay, there are two types: universal and then existential. Some a quantifier like all, some, every, there exists, no or none. That indicates what quantity. And then for the universal quantifiers, we have the words like all, every, or no, or none. And then existential quantifiers like some, something exists, or there exists at least what one. So these are examples of existential what quantifiers. And another terminology is what negation. And what is a negation? First, you must know what a statement is. And when we know, the negation is actually the opposite or truth value of that given statement. And symbolically, we use this letter. Okay, if you have a statement P, if it is true, we use the symbol tilde like that, and then P to represent the negation of that. And so if the P is false, the negation of that will be what will be true. Okay, so because a statement could either be what true or false. All right, now let's look at some examples from our PowerPoint. Okay, slides number 4 and 7 and 8. Okay, so here is the examples. In this example, we want to identify a statement and tell why this is a statement. Okay, and then also if it is, why is not a statement, why or why not. Okay, so George Washington was the first president of the United States. Okay, we know that this is a statement. The statement could be true. So this is a statement. Yes, it is a statement. Okay, because it is what it is true. It's a sentence and it is true. Okay, Abraham Lincoln was the second president of the United States. Okay, we know this is what this is a statement. Yes, it's a statement, but it is what it is false. See that? So a statement is a sentence that is what is true or false. Now, who was the first vice president of what of the United States? Okay, so this is a question, and it is not a statement. Okay, because it is a question. And then Abraham Lincoln was the best president of what? Of the United States. This is somebody's opinion. So opinions are not what? Are not statements. Okay, so this is an opinion. Okay, is this an opinion? So this is not a statement. So the example, in conclusion, this slide, a sentence that is true or false is a statement. A question, an opinion are not what? Statements. Okay, let's look at some examples. Okay, so we want to negate the following. What is the negation of all students like burgers? Okay, the negation, Okay, this is your P. So your statement P is that. So negation of what P will be what? Okay, it will be some students do not like what? Hamburgers. Okay, now the statement P, I can use Q for that. Some students like mathematics. Okay, what is the negation of that? No people, so some people, no people like mathematics. So this is what the negation of what? Of Q. All right. And then there exists a natural number n such that, okay, such that 3n equals what? Equals 6. Well, this is true when n is what? N is 2. You put that, if you substitute the number 2, you get that. But what is the negation of that? It is not equal to, but you say that for all natural numbers, 3n not equal to what? Equal to 6. That would be the negation of what? Of the statement, say P, where this is what the original is P. Okay. And then also for all natural numbers, n, 3n is equal to what? Is equal to n. Of course, this is true. Okay. Now what's the, for all, what's the negations? There exists at a natural number n such that 3n is not equal to that. So that will be the negation of what? Negation of that. Okay. Now let's go back to our notes. Okay. Let's go back to our notes. Because all right. So here we want to look at the other portion of this in terms of reasoning and logic, which is truth tables. Now, truth tables are used to show all possible true, false patterns of a statement. All true, false patterns of a statement. Okay. So here is a sentence, say that I will buy you lunch. So that's my statement P. So my statement P is that I will buy you lunch. Okay. So if P is true, its negation is false. So that's what the true. If it is what? If it is false, then its negation is what? Is it is true. Okay. So if you have this that I will buy you lunch, so my P, the negation of P will be what? I will not buy you lunch. You see that? I will not buy you lunch. That's the negation of the P. All right. So if this is true, if it's true, the negation is what is false. So the truth table for this statement with the values T is the true, and then F is what is false. Okay. Then we go to other connectors in English. Okay, like and, or. All right. Then those are connectors. Now in math, we use the and. We use the symbol for that. Okay, this symbol. Okay, this symbol is used for what? The word what? English word and. Okay. Now this is like intersection when it comes to set theory. This is like intersection. So if I have this statement, I will buy you lunch and I will take you to a movie. Okay, when would this statement be true? Okay, it will be true if both what? Both statements are what? Are true, connected by the what? The word and. Okay, so this is your P, the statement that I will buy you lunch, and then this is your statement what? Statement Q. I will take you to a movie. So what is happening in the truth table is that if P is true and Q is true, then the statement P and Q is true. Now, if one of them is not true, right, then not true doesn't mean that it is negation. So take note of that. Okay, it's a failure. For example, if I don't take you to lunch, okay, which is not true. If it is not true, then one of them, the other one, I will take you to a movie is true. the whole statement is what is false. Okay, the statement is I will buy you lunch and I will take you to a movie. So if I do one of them, then it means that I'm not having satisfied my promise, and you are kind of disappointed. Okay, so here it is only true if both of them are what are true. Okay, so your statement P and Q, right, which is that I will buy you lunch and I will take you to a movie. Okay, so now you notice that this statement that we talked about is only true. Okay, it is true if both of the P and Q are true. So this is true only when both P and Q are true. Otherwise it is what? It is false. All right. Then we call that word conjunction. Okay, the and is the conjunction. Then we have a disjunction, uses the word what? Or. So using the two statements P and Q, I will buy you lunch or take you to a movie. Now, if I fulfill one of them, you are still satisfied. Okay, so that means that if one of them is true, then the whole statement is true. It is even better if both of them are true. We are very happy if I satisfy both of them. I bought you lunch and I took you to a movie. Okay, so in this case, this disjunction, all right, you could see that in the truth table, true is true. And then if one of them is false, okay, if one of them is false, it is still what is still true. But if I don't fulfill both of them, then you are really dissatisfied. That is why false is what is false. Okay, false is what is false. Okay, so you will say that the disjunction P or Q is what is false. Okay, is true, or you say that it is false. Okay, only when both of them are false. It is false only when both P and Q are false. Okay, otherwise it is what it is true. So you see that it's kind of opposite the conjunction. Okay, now the other part is the connector in English is then, if then. All right, that's a conditional statement. And in math, we also call it implication. All right, so for example, if I get my paycheck or if I get paid, I will take you to a movie. All right, they express in the form if then. All the if then statements are what? Are conditional statements. All right, so what would be the truth table for that? And how do we arrive at this table? Now, you will notice that, well, you want to consider when are you dissatisfied? Okay, it said that if I get paid, I will take you to a movie. Okay, you ask yourself the question, when will I feel disappointed, or when is the promise what broken? Now, if the promise is broken, then all right, if the promise is broken, okay, if the promise is broken, then it means that the statement application will be what? Will be false. Okay. My promise that I will take you to a movie. If I get a paycheck, I could take you to a movie. I may not get the paycheck, but I'll still take you to a movie. So the promise, my promise, I kept my promise. Very good. So so let's look at it now. And when you are writing this statement, the if then statement, the if part is your P. Okay. The if part of the statement is your P. And so in this case, I I get paycheck. Okay. I get paycheck, or I get my paycheck. All right. And then your Q is that the condition, the conclusion. Okay. The conclusion is your what? Your Q all the time. So Q is the I take you to a movie. To a movie. Okay. I take you to a movie. All right. Now, again, to find the complete the truth table, okay, if P is true and Q is true, and that is true, I kept my promise. Promise is kept. You are happy. Now, I get a paycheck, that is true, but if I don't take you to a movie, you are not happy. So promise broken. Okay. Promise broken. So you are not happy. All right. Now, if I don't get paid, but I take you to a movie, it is what? You are happy. So the promise kept. All right. So you're happy. That's why it is true. Now, if I don't take you to a movie, if I don't get paycheck and I don't take you to a movie, it is still what? You are happy. Okay. You are not disappointed. I kept my promise because I did not what? I still keep the promise, and you are not dissatisfied or disappointed. Okay. So this one is true. All right. It is true. True is true. P is true. Q is false. It is false because okay, the focus is on the conclusion. That is, I didn't keep my promise. So it is false. And then even though I don't get paycheck, I don't get paid, but I take you to a movie. That means that is true. I kept my promise. So that's why it is what it is true for that part. All right. Now, any implication, that is the conditional P implies what? Q has three related what? Implication statements. Okay. So if you have if then statement that's PQ, we have what we call the converse, which is this you switch the Q and then what? Q and then P. So that is your converse. It is Q implies P. The inverse is the negation of what? The original statement. Okay, it's important to write negation of original statement. Okay, negation of original statement, which is the inverse. This one. Okay, now original statement could be involving some negations, but it is the negation always the negation of the original statement. That is negation of P implies the negation of Q. And then the contrapositive is the third one. That is, if not Q, then not P. So that is the what? The converse of this guy of the B. Okay, so a remark is that a contrapositive statement is the what? The converse of the inverse was statement all the time. So let's take these two examples using the paycheck and then the movie thing. All right. So if I get my paycheck, I will take you to a movie. All right. I will take you to a movie. So that's implication. So first, you always have to identify your P, which is written in the positive sense of the sentence. So even if the original statement is if I do not get paid, I will take you to a movie. My statement P, which is the if part, will still be the positive sense of it. So that will be, in this case, will be I get my pay paycheck. Okay, I get my paycheck. And then my Q will be the conclusion part, which is I take you to, or I will take you to a movie. I take you to a movie. Okay, now we want to write, so the original sentence is this. This is the original statement is what P implies what? Implies Q. Okay, P implies Q. All right, so that's what is the converse of that? The converse statement is what? When we flip the Q and then Q and then P. So this will be Q implies what? Implies P, which is the statement that is if, okay, I take you to a movie, then I get my paycheck. Okay. If I will take you to a movie, it's the same thing, which if I will, sorry, I will take you to a movie, then I get my paycheck. Okay. If I take you I will take you to a movie, then I get my paycheck. That is the converse. What is the inverse of that? The inverse is the negation of the P implies the negation of what? The Q. So it is the negation of the original statement. Okay, this is, let's write it here, the inverse negation of the original statement as I stated there. So which means that if the negation of P, it will be what? If I do not get my paycheck. If I do not get paycheck, okay, then I don't take you, or I do not take you to a movie. Okay. Now, what is the contrapositive of that? Contrapositive is the converse of the inverse statement, which is not Q implies not what? Not P. Meaning that if I do not, it's right here, if I do not take you to a movie, then I did not, or I did not get my paycheck. Okay. So that is the contrapositive. We have the converse, the inverse, and then contrapositive of the statement. If I get my paycheck, I will take you to a movie. All right. Now let us look at a second example. Okay. This is a very interesting one. That if I am not in San Francisco, so I'm going to use SF for that. If I'm not in San Francisco, then I'm not in California. All right. I'm going to use CA for the California. All right. Now you see that this statement, original statement, is the negation of something. But like I said, when you identify your P and Q, write it in the positive sense. Okay. All right. So in this case, my P is that I am in San Francisco. And my Q statement will be I am in what? California. Okay. So the original statement here symbolically will be what? It is negation of what? P implies the negation of Q. Let me write it here. Is what? The negation Negation of P implies negation of what? Q. Okay, so let's write a converse. What is the converse? If you call it a converse statement, will be what? Okay, the converse is when we just flip the two. Okay, you switch the original statement Q and P. So this is what? Not Q implies not what? Not P, which means that if I am not in California, then I am not in what? San Francisco. Okay. Then I'm not in San Francisco. Okay. Now, what is the inverse? The inverse is what? The negation of the original statement, which is P implies what? Implies Q. Now, this will be what? This will be the opposite of that. So that will be P implies what? Q. And what's that statement? That is, if I am in San Francisco, okay, then I am in what? In California. Okay, then I am in California. All right. Then what is the C? That is a contrapositive. Contrapositive is what? The converse of the inverse statement. So that will be Q implies what? P, which says that if I am in California, then I am in what? San Francisco. Now remember, these statements, they don't have to be true. Okay, some of them are true. Original statement says that if I am not in San Francisco, then I am not in California. That is not it, because I can be somewhere, I can be Sacramento and I'm still in California. So this is a false statement originally looking at it. But look at also the contrapositive. If I am in California, then I am in what? San Francisco. That is also false. But look at the converse. If I am not, okay. If I am not in California, then I am not in what? In San Francisco. That is true, right? Because if I'm not in California, then I'm not in what? San Francisco. And then they look at the inverse. If I am in San Francisco, then I'm in what? In California. That is also true. Okay. So this one we can tell the true and then false. The previous example, it depends on what happened, before I can say that it is true or false. Now, we want to decide whether a statement is valid or not, using Euler's, or what we call the Venn diagrams to identify them. Now, remember, just a caution, don't bring what you know or what you have experienced when it comes to validity of arguments, okay, or statements or reasoning. No. Or in reality, don't bring reality. Go by the statements that are given, which we call the hypothesis. Okay, so we want to look at, say, determine the validity of the following. A, the hypotheses are all doctors are men. My mother is a doctor. My conclusion is that therefore my mother is a man. Is this valid? Is this valid? Okay, to draw a Venn diagram, let's look at the first statement A. All doctors are men. Okay, so we want to if you look at it, all doctors, so there's a set of doctors and a set of men. Okay, and all of them are inside, all doctors are inside a set of men. So we want to say let M be what? A set of men. Let D be set of what? Doctors. Okay, and then said my mother will come to that. So you have a circle, that is what? All men, and then a set of what? Doctors is inside. So that is D. Now, part B, B said, my mother is what? Is a doctor. That is just a single element. So we want to use letter like maybe a E to represent what? My mother. Okay, to represent my mother. Now, for the second part, B, okay, we could see that it said, my mother is a doctor. That is, my mother is inside what? The set of doctors. So I'm going to use a dot to represent what? My mother, just a dot. Okay. So if E, small letter E is the dot, that's my mother. And my mother, all doctors are what? Are men. Now let's look at the conclusion. Therefore, my mother is a man. So if my mother is a doctor and then the doctor is in the set of men, that means my mother is a man. And that conclusion is what? It is valid. Okay, this is valid because there is only one possibility that I can put. If I put a dot outside here, let me use red to indicate. If I put it here, it means that my mother is a man, but not a doctor. But the question is, because says that the hypothesis says that my mother is a doctor, I cannot put what? E outside it. So this is out. Okay, this is out. It cannot be. There's only one possibility, and that is that the dot is inside what? The set of doctors. Okay, now let's look at another example. It says that all freshmen live on campus. Okay, no freshman can have cars on campus. Okay, and the conclusion is that nobody on campus can have a car on campus. Okay, so we want to identify this. First, let's identify let the C be those, okay, who live on campus. Those who live on campus. Let's F represent the freshmen. Okay, and let H, because there are three sets there, we have what? Those who have cars, okay, freshmen, and those on campus. All right, so we have people who have cars. People who have cars. All right, so if you consider the first, the statement A, which says that all freshmen live on campus. Okay, you see that the set, this is the C. I have what? F inside. And that is true. Okay, all freshmen live on campus. And it says that no freshman, okay, for B, no freshman can have cars on campus. All right, now that tells me that I could have a set of what? People who have cars. There are certain people who are not freshmen, okay, and they live on campus and they might have cars. All right, so that will be this. The Venn diagram will be this. Okay, you have that. This is F, that is C, and we can have this possibility. We can have a dot representing that somebody, not a freshman, but live on campus and have car. That is one possibility. Or we can have this possibility. Okay. And we can have this possibility where this person is here. This is H, C, and then F. Now you see that we can have the dot. That is somebody who has car but doesn't live on campus. All right. If that is the case, that will satisfy the nobody on campus can have cars on campus. All right. But we can see that we have somebody who is not a freshman and live on campus and can also have cars. Or possibly somebody, I mean, these two don't come together at all. That is, look at it. The conclusion is not a hypothesis. Your focus is on the first two, your hypothesis. All right. The conclusion helps you to the hypothesis help you with the conclusion. So if you have more than one possibility, then we say that it is not what valid, or simply say that is what invalid. Okay. And here the dot, let me put it down here. Okay, the dot we have there, the dot represents, okay, a person having what? Having a car in two different what? Scenarios. Okay, so that's why it's invalid. Now, one thing you should note that something being valid doesn't mean it is true. So something being valid does not mean it is true. As in example what? Example one. Okay, example one says that all doctors are men. My mother is a doctor, therefore my mother is a man. Okay, don't bring your relatives what is happening. Go by the sentence. We know that in reality this is not true, but it is valid. Okay, and so that is that's it for the video, and I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you. Bye bye.